Hi friends! You can paint them all the same color, but these two will always be pink.
Nugget?
I did not know this man was trans. What do you go by? What do you go by?
Does it matter? Can I ask quiet and step in? A lot of people will say that it's impossible for a 4-year-old to know if they're trans or not. But actually, that's not true. They can know. Did you know that The Matrix is actually all about realizing you're trans? I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans. Last summer, I got my cake pops removed.
What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Channing, and today we're going to be talking about TikTok's most hated trans activist who goes by the name Lilly Tino. But how exactly did Lilly become one of the most despised trans creators on the internet? Well, that's the question we're going to answer within this video. So let's start from the very beginning. Previously known as Nick, Lilly decided to transition when they were 27 years old back in 2022, while also sharing the journey on TikTok over the past few years. According to Lilly, she realized that she was trans when she bought a dress and a wig from Target. She also dealt with a crippling drug addiction before she transitioned, saying, "I was prescribed benzos for 17 years for sleepwalking and it zombified me. I have been sober from weed and benzos for almost 3 years." Now, when Lilly got sober, she started to attend cosplay events and began to question why it felt so good to dress up in women's clothing. Lilly says, "It was a bittersweet moment because I thought there was something there. It's the answer to my emptiness and loneliness. I've been living a lie." Now, eventually, Lilly would start sharing her story on TikTok, which is where people would ultimately learn about the good and the bad sides of Lilly. In one of the earliest clips that I found, you can foreshadow some of Lilly's narcissism when seen on a video chat with another creator.
Not only does transitioning make you happy, it enables you to make the people around you more happy. And I think every trans person can probably relate to that when they come out, not only are they happy, but the people who are in their inner circles also become happier because you are a brighter light in their lives, right? Just by association, they become happier. It's really a celebration for everyone.
Now, obviously saying when someone transitions that the people around you become happier is a bold claim, and maybe even disingenuous, because not every single person can identify with that statement. If someone wants to transition and their family is completely against it, that contradicts Lilly's message of saying, quote unquote, transitioning makes everyone around you happy as a whole. Ultimately, this would stir up some of the internet and was really the start to many of Lilly's controversies. But Lilly would continue to post content shedding light on the trans community while trying to educate based on opinions and life experiences. But in the midst of that, a dark side of Lilly started to appear, which slowly turned from generic trans education to disgusting adult content that shouldn't ever be on an app with kids present.
Did anyone ever notice that when you paint your nails, you can paint them all the same color, but these two will always be pink? Is that just me? Is that just a me problem? I feel like anytime, I painted these red, and they came out pink, and I just don't know what to make of it.
Now, at this point, Lilly didn't have much of a following on social media, but eventually, Lilly decided to become a self-proclaimed trans food critic where she would create content sharing her thoughts of different meals in her city. And in the beginning, a lot of people liked this. Lilly was honest and also interesting, but all of this would get exposed as if she was wearing a mask. And we'll get into all of that in a little bit. Now, these videos performed far better than any of her quote-unquote educational content, so Lilly continued to make these types of videos until one day when everything would change. You see, Lilly would make an infamous appearance at a cheesecake factory where she had her first run-in with someone who didn't exactly agree with trans people or the ideology.
You know I'm a TERF, right? Trans-eccentric, radical feminist.
Are you a TERF?
I'm a TERF.
Wow.
Would you like me to move somewhere else? I
No, actually, you should tell me about being a TERF.
go. You're a boy, right? Don't with me, because honestly, I did hard.
I'd like to see you try.
Well then, don't judge me for being a TERF. I get to be who I want to be, you get to be who you want to be, right? If that's what you want, to be who you want to be, then I get to be who I want to be.
Which is?
I'm not a witch.
You're not a witch.
You know what? Take your stupid dog, eat your food, and get the out of my life, okay?
This is a first.
Because otherwise I have to label you a white racist.
I see.
For a 70-year-old minority woman, you're a racist. You want your rights, I want mine too.
Excuse me. Could you grab the manager, please?
I'm so terribly sorry. I'll definitely be escalating on how I'm trying to get information, but I do apologize about that treatment. I did.
Now, this video ended up going viral with people feeling bad for what she went through, and rightfully so. Lily's just minding her own business when some old lady starts yapping at her for no reason. Ultimately, this video ended up raking in millions of views and tens of thousands of new supporters for Lilly. Eventually, Lilly would start live streaming her extravaganzas to different restaurants, and being a quote trans food critic quickly became the staple of her content on TikTok. But one day, while Lilly was streaming outside of a restaurant with her dog Nugget, she accidentally called her dog the hard R in front of thousands of people on live.
Nugget?
Obviously, everyone makes mistakes, but people would start to become upset with Lilly because of this incident. Not just because the N-word was said, but also because Lilly acted as if nothing happened and failed to apologize. So at this point in time, Lilly started to have a regular wave of trolls and haters infiltrating her social media platforms because of these controversies and contradictions. And these people who were doing research on her ended up finding old Reddit threads where Lilly is referencing to doing blackface and other racist things in the past, which she would ultimately respond to in her Discord server, where she would apologize, saying she used to be a quote-unquote edgelord, saying she thought actions like this were funny, and she regretted it. You see, if Lilly truly cared about pronouns and the use of words, I just don't see why she wouldn't apologize after saying the N-word on live stream, but would apologize about the blackface situation. But anyways, Lilly would then ignore the backlash and continue to create content, even reposting the infamous Cheesecake Factory video, which also went viral a second time. And in my opinion, Lilly did this to cover up any of the hate on her page, trying to deflect any and all controversies into sympathy from viewers on TikTok. This would also lead to more public interactions that were blown way out of proportion by Lilly for engagement on social media. Now, eventually, Lilly would shift from creating just food critic content. She then decided it was best to revisit educating the masses about being trans on TikTok, but all this did was slowly turn more and more people against her because of all the contradictions found within her analogies.
Yesterday, someone told me that they support transgender people, but they don't like being called cisgender. So what does it even mean to be cisgender anyways? Think of it this way. When you're born, you're assigned one of two different pairs of shoes. These shoes determine how you walk through the world, and the shoe you're given is an educated guess based on your body parts. So you can imagine that it's really important that these shoes fit. And for many people, they fit perfectly fine, and that's great. But for some people, the shoes they were given don't fit, and every step they take is painful. People who need to transition from one pair of shoes to another pair of shoes are called transgender people. People whose shoes fit from day one are called cisgender people. So why do some people think that cisgender is a bad word or an insult? Cis and trans are just two Latin prefixes that mean on the same side of or on the other side of. The fact of the matter is that the word cisgender implies the validity of the word transgender. So if you're against the word cisgender, that means you are against transgender people.
Now, a lot of people would see these videos and leave comments trying to show Lilly how contradictory her quote-unquote education is. 3 comments from the video we just watched stated, quote, "I'm not cisgender, I'm just a woman." Another one says, quote, "The same way you don't want to be misgendered, I don't want to be called cisgender, period." And then the third one saying, quote, "I don't want you or anyone to refer to me as cisgender, and that's where the disrespect begins when you keep calling us something we don't identify as." Now, obviously, these 3 comments showcase Lilly's inability to recognize when she's contradicting herself, which only opens the door for more criticism. Now, similar to the Cheesecake Factory incident, Lilly would have another run-in with some trolls while sitting outside yet again another restaurant.
I am not, sir.
No, you're not.
Do you want to say that to the camera? Hundreds and hundreds of people watching you?
Me right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no.
No, go ahead. You just called me a man. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Yeah, you're a coward. Come on over. Say what you got to say to me. Oh, you don't want to call me a man to my face? Come on over. What do you got to say? What do you got to say about transgender people?
I didn't know you were trans.
Yeah, go ahead.
You didn't know you was trans.
Go ahead.
I did not know this man was trans. Wait, what do you go by? What do you go by?
Does it matter?
It does, because I'm asking you.
Say what you got to say. There's a lot of people watching you.
The real question is, it doesn't matter if you're transgender or not. Are you with that? Are you with the people that march and be like, "We're coming for your kids"? That's where it's bad. That's when it gets bad. Oh, you need to stay up.
What's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
K.
K?
K.
K-A-Y?
K-A-Y.
Okay, and what's your name?
I don't have to give you any of my information.
You certainly don't. What's your
My
name?
name's JJ, and it's y'all think a cult is like LGBTTTL cult or something?
Can I ask why you didn't step in? What you were standing and watching? They called me a pedophile. They were verbally harassing me.
I didn't hear him call you that. I didn't know. I honestly had no idea what conversation you were having.
Now, a good point I found in the comments is from Kate saying, quote, "How can you get mad at someone for misgendering you, but when they ask what you want to go by, you sit there and say it doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, you should have let it go." And as time went on, it was getting more and more clear that Lilly cared more about the drama and the clout than it was to actually be a voice and an educator for the trans community. Because Lilly would then take to her TikTok page, spreading heaps of misinformation, even making fellow trans creators upset as well, especially when Lilly mentioned how a 4-year-old could somehow know that they are trans.
When a kid tells you that they're transgender, believe them. A lot of people will say that it's impossible for a 4-year-old to know if they're trans or not, but actually that's not true. They can know, and here's why. From day one, gender is baked into everything we do. You either have a boy name or a girl name. Boy toys or girl toys, boy clothes or girl clothes. So from an early age, kids understand the difference between boy and girl, and more importantly, which one they're expected to be. So it makes sense that if what they feel inside is different than what they're expected to be, then they might feel uncomfortable, and they might want to talk about that discomfort. And we all know that kids are good at talking about how they feel. For example, "Mommy, I skinned my knee." "Mommy, someone called me a name on the playground." Or even, "Mommy, I don't like wearing boy clothes." These are all similar feelings of discomfort that we can talk about to our parents. That's not to say that all kids will realize they're transgender when they're little. A lot don't. I didn't until I was 27, but I can't tell you how many people I've met that knew they were trans at 4 or 5 years old. So if there's a kid in your life who's telling you they're trans, please believe them. They know what they're talking about, and your support might save their life.
This type of message coming from Lilly is especially absurd because this claim was made with no evidence, and as we break down Lilly's lore, you can understand that she's more interested in stirring the pot and engagement baiting on social media, because more views equals more money. Especially once we understand that Lilly started to transition at 27 years old, completely rendering any personal experiences talking about a 4-year-old kid being trans as void. But Lilly wouldn't stop there because she would continue to make crazy claims on social media, basically rage baiting her audience.
Did you know that The Matrix is actually all about realizing you're trans? The directors of the movie are both trans women, but at the time of making The Matrix, they were both still figuring that out. While they didn't actively try to make a movie about realizing they were trans, they later confirmed that that's what it ended up being. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Neo is trapped in a world that calls him Mr. Anderson, a name that he hates. As the movie goes on, Neo realizes that Mr. Anderson and the identity that comes with that name aren't really him at all. And in fact, he's someone else entirely. There's a truer version of himself that is yet to wake up. Eventually, he's given a choice between the red pill and the blue pill. He chooses the red pill, which begins his transition out of the Matrix. And wouldn't you know that at the time the Matrix came out, estrogen pills were red. You may also remember the bad guy agents from the movie, or if you will, the transphobes. They will do anything to stop people from transitioning, sometimes even resorting to acts of violence. Sound familiar? And I'm just scratching the surface here. If you rewatch this movie, I guarantee you will find so much more.
Now, eventually there would be a situation where it seemed as if Lilly's actions were catching up to her because she ended up getting stuck in an elevator, as you can see here.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit my fault because there's people who were in the elevator that came out while I was waiting for it and said, "Oh, hey, we're not sure this elevator is working," but like the elevator looked like it was working when they walked out, so I was like, what's the worst that could happen? And I pressed the button and the door closed, and then the buttons didn't work. And now we're stuck here. I pressed the call button and it went to my apartment person. Of course, they called me sir as soon as I said hello. "Hello, sir." Number one, I'm not sir. Number two, I'm trapped in an elevator. In that order. I'd rather be stuck in an elevator and called ma'am than out of an elevator and called sir. And that's the truth. Oh, there's a little bounce. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, it's working. I think it's working. We did it.
As you saw, even when Lilly is stuck in an elevator, she can't help but bring up how she was misgendered by the first responders, leaving people commenting, quote, "Are you trying to get the elevator fired?" And bro, what do you expect when someone over the phone hears your voice? Which makes a very valid point. As a teenager, when I was working many different fast food jobs, there were definitely a few times where I accidentally misgendered someone because of the sound of their voice through the drive-through system. But instead of crashing out, calling managers, and trying to get someone fired, they would politely correct me at the window when they were in person, which is actually very respectable, because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to clock in and go home. I'm not trying to create any problems. And the person that I accidentally misgendered knows that it's not my job to know that person's pronouns through the frickin' drive-through machine. But in Lily's case, it seems as if she feels the need to correct people, not because it's offensive, but because it goes in line with her content structure. The more she can put herself in situations similar to the Cheesecake Factory, the more engagement she gets on social media, and Lilly knows this. Which would make a lot of people upset online, because instead of being a genuine beacon of light for the trans community, Lilly runs around and makes every situation about herself, as you can see here.
It looks like he's having a nice feast.
She, her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
But it was not all good.
Hi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Okay. The sweet water starts at okay.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time. I was wondering if there's a manager I could talk to about something that happened. Yeah, I was called sir.
Oh, okay.
It just really sucks every time it happens.
Sorry about that.
I don't need to be called ma'am. I just need to not be called sir, you know? Thank you. Did you call me sir? I just want to tell you that the person who gave me this called me sir.
What?
Called me sir.
Oh.
It's just like, it kind of just hurts a lot to get called sir.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much. No. Yeah. Thank you. I'm not a sir. Nothing like a good misgendering. It is a knife in the gut when I get called sir. I feel like I need to tell him. I need to tell him that hurt. It hurts more when it's not intentional, because it means like this is sir to him. I know you didn't mean it, but I'm not a sir.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I know you didn't mean it. It's just, it hurts. I know when people clock me, it's fine, but like it does kind of hurt. Thank you. I'm not sir.
Oh, sorry.
Not sir. Not sir. But the guy who dropped the food off, he called me sir twice in a row.
Okay. I'll let him know that, and GM as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's almost as if Lilly goes to these restaurants looking to create a problem, because she knows if someone publicly goes against her ideology, it could be grounds for another viral video. And in 90% of these instances where Lilly goes to correct someone, the staff is always very attentive, making sure to apologize and create a safe space for her. But it seems like in the back of Lily's mind, she wants these situations to happen because she wants the attention, the drama, and the views. Even going as far as contacting managers and restaurants about these incidents when the problem is already over and resolved. Now, Lily's next controversy set the internet on fire when making another post full of misinformation speaking on someone who is currently dead.
I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans. Here's why. First off, Kurt wore a lot of women's clothing. And when asked about this, they replied that they wore dresses all the time because they felt comfortable and free. And just look at Kurt in these pictures. They look so happy. And in an interview about their childhood, Kurt said that they mostly hung out around girls and that at one point they thought they might be gay. Many trans people who don't have the vocabulary yet to express their gender identity will describe what they're feeling as being gay. That's exactly what I did in middle school. Kurt is also quoted as saying that they identify more with the feminine than with the masculine. This is clear proof that Kurt did not identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. And the most convincing evidence that Kurt was trans was in an early version of Nirvana's All Apologies lyrics, where Kurt wrote, "Let me grow some That is clear-cut gender dysphoria. And of course, Kurt will never be able to tell us themselves, but the evidence makes it pretty obvious they were trans. That might be why Kurt's no longer with us. Maybe Kurt knew that we weren't ready.
Obviously, this video made a lot of people mad because nothing gives Lilly the right to go on and shove her ideology on someone who is currently dead and can't even speak for himself, especially when trying to spread facts that are solely opinions. But what if I told you that this video we just watched is only the tip of the iceberg? Because Lilly would then go in public on various occasions speaking about her genitals and trans surgery in front of families and kids.
Today is the day of my bottom surgery consult. This surgery is going to take my cake pop stick, hollow it out, flip it inside out, and then put it inside. And for the past 6 months, I have been getting electrolysis down there, which means they are zapping my nethers with an electrified poker to make it so that hair never grows there again. When I get there, he's going to look at me down there and see how far along the hair removal process has come. At which point he will tell me if I am ready to schedule a date for surgery. I want that date because I need to start planning my life around that surgery because it takes like a year to recover from.
Now, as you can see, Lilly is so clouded by trans activism that she can't even pull together her own situational awareness. It's completely fine that you want to advocate for trans people, but there's definitely a time and a place for certain conversations. Talking about your genitals in public spaces like a train or a bus is absurd. And Lilly wouldn't stop there because she was also at Disney World surrounded by kids and families once again talking about her nether region in public.
I'm gonna get banned from Disney. I swear, we're about to get banned from Disney. Last summer, I got my cake pops removed, and the plan up until recently was to get my marshmallow wand reconfigured into a marshmallow tunnel. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, I noticed some hair regrowth on my marshmallow wand. That's bad because the outside of the wand is what becomes the inside of the tunnel, so you don't want hair growing there or else it's very uncomfortable. So I talked to my surgeon and he said that it would be best to postpone the procedure until after hair removal is complete. This is obviously disappointing because I was really excited to have a marshmallow tunnel sooner. That being said, it is still happening. We're just not sure when it's happening. Hair removal is a fickle thing and it's really hard to predict when it will finish. But my hair removal technician thinks it will be before the end of the year. So, fingers crossed. Oh, go. Want some? My mom's here, by the way. The marshmallow tunnel.
Obviously, at this point, people were starting to draw the line, because what was once genuine trans theory education is now turning into full-blown despicable behavior talking about your genitalia in front of children and families. Eventually, Lilly caught so much flack for this, to where she would ultimately respond.
When you're talking about surgery, why do you do it in the most public places? You could talk about it in your house. I also noticed that you talked about it in like a kids area, kind of like Disneyland.
That Disney video, huh? A lot of the commenters on that video seemed to think that there was a row of children in front of me that I was preaching to as I filmed it. But in reality, it was a really loud cafe where I could barely hear my mom right next to me, much less the table next to me. What I really think people have a problem with is that I am being a trans person in public. And that's really what this voicemail is getting at, that being trans in public in general is not okay, right? Like they're saying that I should film at home. Why? Trans people deserve to feel safe at a restaurant or at the grocery store or just walking down the street, because in 2024, we don't. And that's why I film in public, so that you can see I'm living my life and you don't need to be afraid of me or any other trans person.
Now, instead of taking accountability for her actions, she then shifts the conversation to become the victim, saying, quote, "People have a problem with me being trans in public." Listen, Lilly, it's one thing to be trans in public, but as soon as you make the focus of your conversation your nether region while being unable to see how that's weird or wrong, obviously people will be upset with you. And it's also the fact that this happened multiple times. This is like if I went to Taco Bell, set up my phone, and started talking about my intimate relationships, if I had one, while describing the intricate parts of that experience in detail. Then when approached by the Taco Bell manager saying, "Hey, can you stop speaking about your genitals in here?" I respond by saying, "Oh, I'm just an advocate for X if you put the S in front of it." Like, as a former Taco Bell worker, I can assure you that they would not only look at me cross-eyed, but also kick my ass out. Now, as if Lilly couldn't get any worse, maybe some of you, if you have children or if you have young siblings, may know Miss Rachel, a well-known YouTuber that makes very successful content for kids. Well, Lilly would recreate this harmless, innocent content aimed at kids with her own twist.
Hi friends! Today we're going to talk about something super important, what it means to be transgender. It's a big word, but I promise that it's easy to understand. Ready to learn? The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes. Now think, do you feel like a boy, a girl, or a little bit of both? Do you have your answer? Great. Now I want you to imagine that everyone keeps telling you that you're something else, even though in your heart, you know who you are. Wouldn't that make you sad inside? People who feel like this are transgender. And if you're not transgender, it's super easy to be friends with someone who is. Let's take our imaginary friend Theo, for example. One day you notice that Theo starts wearing girl clothes instead of boy clothes, and then they tell you that they want to be called Luna instead of Theo. This is so exciting for our friend Luna because they finally get to be their true self. And if you accidentally call Luna by their old name, make sure to say a big sorry and that you'll do better next time. As you can see, transgender people are just like you and me. They're our friends.
Lilly didn't just blatantly take Miss Rachel's look, she also twisted and perverted content that is supposed to be aimed at children. I'm sure you can see that this comparison is rough and how this should not be shown to kids, especially at this age. And what if I told you it didn't end there? Because not only was Lilly creating quote-unquote spicy content during all of this, she also tried to coerce another content creator into creating content with her.
Last week, Lilly Tino made a video completely denying her harassing me, and if you're wondering why it took me so long to even respond to that, I'll get to that in a second, but here's quickly why her response was just laughably bad. Lilly failed to mention that she led me into a Discord call under false pretenses when her real motives were to film porn with me. If she were upfront, I would have said no immediately. She didn't mention that I said no or I can't 3 different times, and even after that, even after I said no to doing porn, she still sent me a link to the porn studio and said it would be mutually beneficial. The entire video, she didn't even mention OF or even spicy content once. Instead, she mentioned it as a different kind of content.
I recently decided to start making a new kind of content.
And was very nonchalant about saying it was normal for content creators to collab, which is true for something like TikTok, but is much more sensitive when we're talking about making literal porn.
For the record, collaborations are super common among any kind of social media creator, be it this kind of content or other kinds of content.
And this one shocked me. She edited the word OF out of her screenshot, the one that I actually posted to my video itself uncensored.
I received a DM from her partner, which Colleen also mentioned in her video.
And she'll probably say it's for TikTok terms of service, but here, let me just put that message on the screen and watch nothing happen to this video. Lilly was trying to sanitize the entire situation to make herself seem innocent. Like, I got many comments after they come back to my video being like, oh, I didn't even know that Lilly was even talking about OF until I saw your video. And I've been frequently asked why I even went public in the first place, because Lilly had such a well-written response, right? But the reason I even went public was because I knew that immediately after I went public, Lilly would publicly act like this.
Right? And also, I had no idea they were monogamous. Most trans people I know are poly. So let's say, okay, she's monogamous, and she could have just said no.
And finally, if you're wondering why I haven't responded till now, it's because the day I was going to respond last week, I was contacted by another victim named Cassie, who was tied up in this entire Vegas situation too. Her situation's very similar to mine, except for her, Lilly stalked, groomed, and refused to take no for an answer countless times, to the point where on Lilly's live streams, I was tricked because Lilly was publicly saying that she already had someone to go to Vegas with her after I said no, referencing Cassie. Turns out Cassie never said yes.
So I've been trying to say no, and she keeps pushing for it.
It was strange though, because on her TikTok lives, it sounded like you were a shoo-in to go.
Yeah, no.
One of the primary reasons that Cassie said no was because of medical reasons. Lilly would try to be like, oh, why don't you stop this medication? Why don't you stop that medication? Lilly, someone should not have to stop their medication to have sex with you. That's ridiculous and predatory.
She basically didn't believe that I was telling her that it is quite severe, to the point where I don't like traveling.
Lilly had subscribed to her OF for months prior, told people in the Discord, including me, about Cassie herself. And when Cassie was being called out by Chris Tyson on Twitter for being too trans, which I think is freaking ridiculous, Lilly swooped in all friendly, saying, come to our Discord server. We're friendly here. We'll understand you. And then not too long after, asked her to go to Vegas to do porn with her. She's been aware of you and has been following you on OF for quite a while.
That's crazy to know she knew who I was before that day.
She talked about it. Like, she talked about it multiple times.
Oh.
In a Discord. She talked about it, yeah.
What?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, that changes everything. Why hasn't she told me that? And I even told her how this happens to me all the time. Like, people, I'll meet like a set of friends, right? And then the second one of them gets me alone, they go, hey, so, I actually watch your content, and then I'm like, oh, so you're trying to fuck me. and it's so often, and I'm like, oh, this is the exact same. But it's the first time it's happened to me with someone like Lily.
I honestly hate to think what could have happened to either one of us if we did agree to go to Las Vegas with Lily. And just because me and Cassie are trans sex workers, it does not mean we do not deserve respect or boundaries. And Lily decided to break all of those for both of us because she wanted to have sex with us.
So obviously, after watching this breakdown of Lily's spicy content scandal, it's clear to see the predatory behavior showcased by Lily herself. Mind you, this is the same person that was just creating trans content aimed at kids. Now, eventually, Lily would go on some sort of podcast responding to some of the allegations of her content being engagement bait, and it's surprising how upfront and honest she is with the deception within the style of her content.
You, in particular, I would say, are like someone who's faced maybe the most hate out of any trans person on the internet by other trans people.
Yeah, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. Like, people just have their taste in the kind of content they want to consume. But I do think a big part of it is my voice. I do think that because my content is so grabby, the Kurt Cobain video is such a great distillation. That was maybe one of the first that really started getting me a lot of hate from the right, but also from some other trans people. I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans. People got really upset about that, but for different reasons. I knew that that would upset people. That's not why I made the video though, right? The goal is not to make people mad. The goal is to educate people, right? And in 2024, a big part of getting views on your content is by making them interesting, right? And making them vibrant and catchy, right?
Now, the thing that sticks out to me the most in this response is Lily saying she knows her content would upset people, following that up by saying in the next sentence how her goal isn't to make people mad, but to educate, which is just another common instance of Lily contradicting herself. You see, if you know what you're doing is leaving people angry and disturbed, then how could you even claim it's educating people? As a Christian man, this is like the quote-unquote Christians who hold up their signs and say, if you don't repent, you'll die, using fear to quote-unquote educate people about the scriptures, when in the Bible, it literally says we must politely tell the good news to our neighbors. So using that example, how on earth does Lily expect her content to land when she literally says she knows it makes people upset? But as time went on, Lily only continued to play the victim card, even showcasing how she got misgendered 3 times in one day.
I have been misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours at restaurants. Last night I was at Benihana with my girlfriend and the server said, "What about you, sir? What would you like to eat?" My girlfriend, God bless her heart, steps in, says, "Actually, that's ma'am." And she looks at my girlfriend and didn't really understand what had happened and said, "No, I'm talking to him," pointing at me. Our jaws were on the floor and we decided to leave because it was just a bad vibe after that. And just a few minutes ago, I was at another restaurant for lunch and they showed me my seat and said, "Here you go, sir." And I said, "I am not a sir." And then I left because I wasn't comfortable anymore. And I went to a new restaurant and I asked, "Before I sit down, where's the bathroom, please?" And they said, "Oh, it's right this way, sir." And I just left because I wasn't comfortable anymore. If you're a server in the food industry, you don't need to use words like sir or ma'am. There are ways to be respectful without using those words. And if you get it wrong for someone like me, I will probably leave the restaurant. And it puts like a bad vibe on my day when it happens, especially when it happens 3 times in a row.
Bro, this is like keeping up with the Transdashians or something. Lily, let's not forget that you made the choice to transition. You made the choice to become trans. You are also the one saying that transitioning makes everyone around you happy. So now that we can all understand that these educated guesses are indeed false by your own actions, how is it our fault and really that big of a deal if someone accidentally misgenders you? Now, I'm not against trans people or using the right pronouns or whatever. I'm a pretty respectful guy. But that's like me getting mad at someone for calling my Air Jordans sneakers. This victim mentality that Lily constantly portrays is the reason why a lot of people within even the trans community don't like her. Instead of spreading the idea of positive conversations, Lily runs around as if the world revolves around her, crashing out on anyone who calls her the wrong pronoun, then blows the whole entire situation out of proportion for her own personal gain on social media. Now, as you can see, Lily is upset because she didn't get apologized to when misgendered. But Lily, where is that same energy when you accidentally said the hard R on stream? You didn't apologize. In fact, you acted as if nothing ever happened. Probably because it was awkward and you didn't mean to say it, right? Well, if you apply that same situation to someone misgendering you, why do you expect and deserve an apology? Like, put Lilly being trans on the side, I don't care about that whatsoever. What I do care about is her inability to comprehend how delusional her contradictions are, while always making herself the victim of any and every situation as if the world owes her something. And this type of behavior from Lilly would only continue, especially during her time at the Hard Rock Cafe in San Francisco.
Hi, I know you wanted to sit at this table, but we have reservations, so
Oh.
we're going to have to move you to a smaller table.
Okay.
Are you having lunch with us today? Okay. So I can move you over here, then the server will get you started in a few minutes.
Okay, are all of these taken?
Yeah, the bigger tables have to be open because we have a lot of reservations today. So
Okay,
I can
what
put you
time?
in a smaller they're all different times, so we're about to set up this section for a party that's coming in.
Oh, okay.
So
What
you want us
time
to-
do you think they'll come in? Just because it'll probably be pretty loud, I would imagine, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I just don't want to set up at a table if it's going to get loud in like 30 minutes. Maybe
It'll be loud everywhere in the cafe.
Okay.
Yeah. But so, would you like to still sit and eat? Because I can move you over here.
Just so I know, like, when do you think like this will be popping? I guess because it's like
We're
empty
about
now.
to hit
So
our lunch rush right now. And we
Okay.
have a lot of reservation. It's the holiday. People are on break, so we expect to be busy all day.
okay,
Yeah. I'm sorry.
okay,
I can move you over here. It's probably going to be the quietest right now. But
okay. I think I'll probably just leave.
Okay.
It's completely empty in here, by the way. Like completely empty. Someone sat me here, and I was like, "Can I take the bigger table?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm pretty sure she just kicked me out because she didn't like me or something. Lots of reservations, they say. Lots of reservations. When are the reservations? Oh, I don't know when the reservations are, but you can't be here, basically. Do you want to move to like a small table that is bad lighting? And even though we already told you could sit at this table.
Now at this point, Lilly has caused various different businesses to get so much hate with her videos and these statements. As you just saw, one of the most famous examples of this happening was her experience at the Hard Rock Cafe. Well, what if I told you Lilly only shows you some of the story in her TikTok videos? The Hard Rock Cafe was the only place that spoke up against Lilly's actions and even released a statement from corporate stating we allowed her to stream even though it is against our social media policy without permission from our PR team. Lilly was also sitting somewhere else originally and got up and moved to the table she filmed at. We've received tons of hate mail, poor reviews, etc. So not only is Lilly lying about these situations online for her TikTok audience, but also doing this at the expense of hard-working businesses, all because she feels entitled and wants attention. You see, Lilly is the perfect example of a full-blown narcissist, and it's only more clear after you watch this video of her explaining a recent bathroom visit using the women's room.
I was just in the women's room at a cheesecake factory, and when I walked in, there was this little girl, like 3 years old, tops. She was standing there alone, I assumed waiting for her parent who was in the stall. And all the stalls were full, so like I couldn't go in, I just had to wait. And it was me and this little girl and no one else. And she kind of looked at me like, and, you know, I just like nodded my head and didn't look at her. I was like, you know, it's kind of awkward. And it occurred to me that when the parent, who I don't know, leaves the stall, exits their stall and sees me, a trans person, and their little 3-year-old daughter, that they might make an assumption based on untrue things that they've heard, an assumption that could be very dangerous for me, unsafe for me. So instead of waiting for that to potentially happen, I left the bathroom and decided I didn't need to pee that bad. Trans people go through this thought process any time they're in a bathroom, and it's not okay. And it's important to talk about because it happens all the time.
So here Lilly is, once again using a story and making it all about herself, saying it could be quote-unquote dangerous for her. Like, the problem is, Lilly preaches how it shouldn't be weird for her to use the women's bathroom and how it should be normalized. Then when she goes and does this herself and has an awkward and avoidable experience, she once again makes herself the victim, as if she didn't just choose to do this to herself. Again, I'm not against trans people or anything, but don't make it anyone else's problems for the choices that you made. You chose to transition, therefore you have to understand the implications that you're gonna have to deal with as well. If that means it's weird to use the bathroom or when people say the wrong word when they refer to you, Lilly should have realized all these things before deciding to transition, instead of transitioning and then making it everyone else's problem around her. Anywho, Lilly Tino is a great example of a terrible trans activist who hides her greedy and contradictory tendencies with poor activism that only showcases how much of a narcissist and how dangerous people like this can be when it comes to the goals of the LGBTQ community. Now, I want to make it very clear, I don't dislike trans people, I just dislike Lilly Tino. But with all that being said, I'm interested to hear what your opinions are of Lilly Tino in the comments section below. This is where I'm going to be wrapping up this video. As always, thank you so much for making me a part of your day, and God bless.